What's up, CW fans? This is going to be an episode on Prosigns. We're going to talk about three Prosigns in particular, which is AS, BT, and SK. There are two other Prosigns that are used on occasion, which you'll hear KN and AR, but they are very frequently not frequently used in some of the modern QSOs that we have today. They're kind of a throwback to maybe yesteryear of QSOs, but we'll talk about them a little bit. And then a couple of items that people think that they are Prosigns, but they're really not. Like, and this might be controversial, but BK, which is back to you, it's actually just BK, which is back to you, or BTU. Sometimes folks will send to bring the transaction or the QSO back to the other person. That's one thing. And then the ampersand or the AND character, which is ES. So maybe we can cover those right now just to kind of get them out of the way. But ES sounds like that. And that is the two characters E and S, and it's just basically an abbreviation for ampersand. And what it is an E and then a half space and then the S. So it sounds just like that. ES. That's how that sounds. Today I'm using the KBX 380, which is made by Tapio in Finland. He makes I've got a video on this, and he makes a couple of different cool designs with very colorful paddles. They're kind of neat and they work well. The ES, sometimes you'll hear somebody say good morning and good evening, especially in Parks of the Air. And working DX, you'll say GM and GA. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. So that's ES. The other one is BK, which some folks run it all together so it sounds like a pro sign, right? And that's okay. I think that's just an evolving of BK, which is back to you. Whoops. So BK, that's back to you. Some folks throw a half space in there, like that. So that's a back to you. But those are two non-pro signs, which doesn't matter. It's it is what it is. We use them in QSOs every day, and you hear BK and ES, which is and, all the time. So those are two things I wanted to cover off before we really kind of started jumping into Prosigns. So the first Prosign I want to talk a little bit about is somewhat lesser known Prosign, which is AS, which means hang on a second or wait, or please wait. And that's AS. And remember, Prosigns, the definition of a Prosign is two letters that are run together totally. So if you have two letters like AS, it's a Prosign when it gets run together like, oops, there you go. So there's AS. That's a Prosign. That means please wait. So you'll hear that every once in a while. Maybe not quite often. Sometimes they'll do it in the ARRL bulletin if you're listening to the CW bulletin. Please wait, like if they can't get started on time. There you go. And I don't think I cleaned these contacts properly before I started, so I apologize. I might get a little stick, or sometimes the dits or the das won't make it. So apologies. It's a good reason to make sure you're always cleaning your contacts for your CW keys and paddles. So that's AS. That means wait and hang on. The other pro sign, which you hear quite often, or at least somewhat often, is SK, and that's basically like end of transmission. I'm done for the day. Have a good one. I'm out. So that would be SK. Sounds like that. There's the S and the K. And of course, it's got to be run together. That's just an S and a K, but that's SK pro sign, meaning end of transmission. So your last exchange with the person, if you're having a Raichu QSO, that's what will happen. And then sometimes people send it twice or 3 times. It's kind of fun. And then the last one is probably a little bit more of the more well-known pro sign, which is BT, which is break. It kind of comes across as an equal sign if you're using a decoder, and it sounds like this. And sometimes people will use this in the middle of a QSO to break it up, to like help them get their thought back or figure out what they want to say next. It's like, okay, my antenna is up 75 feet. I have a Yagi. Okay, all right, yeah, I'll tell you all about the temperature next and what kind of radio I have. So it's kind of like a little bit of a break. You can use it to switch gears in the middle of a sentence if you want to talk about something different. So that's what a BT is, and basically a break. So let's do you remember what this one is? That was the one that we just talked about, which is end of transmission, SK. Sometimes people will call, a ham radio operator that has passed away, and SK, basically, end of transmission, like totally, right? Kind of sad a little bit. So that's SK. And then the wait, like hang on a second. That's AS. So those are like the 3 big ones that I always hear. There is an AR and a KN that get tacked on to the end of a QSO. Like if you're going back and forth, some folks will do the AR, which is, whoops, that's it. So that's an AR. That'll be like the end of the sentence, or basically go ahead and go back to the other person to respond. And then sometimes people will do KN also. I'll hear that at the end of a really long CQ, like they'll be calling CQ, 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 CQ. This is K9KJ, 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 CQ, 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 and then they'll go. That's what that means at the end, like, hey, I'm waiting for the next person to call, which, you hear that every once in a while. Some people do it at the end of a QSO, and then I think, if there's like a multi-way, if you're talking to a couple of folks and you want to send it back to K9KJ, you can do, K9KJ, and then that'll be KN, which means, okay, handing it over to you. But yeah, again, those are 2 that are lesser used. So we've got the KN, the AR, we have the SK, the BT, and the AS. So that means wait, right? That's our SK, and that's our BT. Again, BK is back to you, not necessarily a pro sign. And then the other one is the ampersand, which is not necessarily run together. If you ran an E and an S together, that would just be an H, wouldn't it? So, okay, so that's pro signs, and at least those are the ones that are frequently used. There are others that might not frequently be used. If you're doing something like handling net traffic or something like that, there are other pro signs that do get used for some protocols. But by and large, if you're going to just be doing some CW QSOs, these are the pro signs that you're going to come across. And if you're watching this on video, I want to put them on the screen here also. So CW on, my friends. Keep practicing.